You were not born to be controlled. You were born to become. But most people will live their entire lives as prisoners of everything outside of them, a slave to their own emotions, to other people's opinions, to the noise of the world. They wake up every morning reacting, scrolling, comparing, chasing. Not once do they stop and ask, "Who am I becoming?" Not once do they turn inward. And Lao Tzu, he taught that the man who masters himself can never be ruled, because if you don't command your own mind, someone else will. Master yourself or be ruled forever, because whether you realize it or not, something is ruling you right now. It may be your fear, it may be your doubt, it may be the craving for validation that never seems to be satisfied. It may be the illusion that success lies somewhere outside you, just one more achievement away. But Lao Tzu knew the truth. Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. You want power? You want success? Then begin where no one else is looking, within. Because until you face yourself, your victories will be hollow. You might build empires on the outside, but inside you'll still feel like a fraud. Look at the world. It's filled with powerful men who cannot sit alone in silence. It's filled with rich men who can't find peace when the noise stops. It's filled with loud, strong, charismatic figures who are terrified of what they'll hear when the world goes quiet. But the one who is still, the one who is calm, the one who has faced his own shadow and smiled, that one cannot be moved. That one cannot be ruled. You think discipline is suffering. You think self-control is restriction. Number. They're the only path to real freedom. The man who cannot control his thoughts will always be controlled by circumstance. He will be a puppet of the algorithm, a servant of impulse, and a slave to the story his ego tells. But the one who pauses, who observes, who moves with intention rather than compulsion, that one is free. That one is powerful. Because discipline is not about punishment, it's about alignment. It's not about how hard you can push, it's about how precisely you can move, like water bending around stone, like the archer pulling back the string, not in rage, but in patience. Because Lao Tzu never taught resistance, he taught harmony. He said, "The soft overcomes the hard, the slow overcomes the fast." Mastering yourself means knowing the difference between reaction and response, between desire and need, between movement and progress. Most people chase. Most people sprint into every day with no aim. And because they don't know who they are, they let the world decide. So the world tells them, this is beauty, this is power, this is success. And they believe it. They become carbon copies of each other, echo chambers of ambition, hungry wolves with no sense of why they're even running. They grind themselves into dust trying to catch a prize that was never theirs to begin with. And then they wonder why it all feels empty. Because without self-mastery, achievement becomes addiction. You keep needing more followers, more money, more applause. But with mastery, with inner stillness, you don't need to be loud to be heard. You don't need to conquer the world to feel whole. You move like water, silent and unstoppable. Do you know who else moved like that? Lao Tzu did. So did Bruce Lee. So did Miyamoto Musashi. So did every warrior who ever realized that the greatest battle was within. This is not about becoming soft. It's about becoming unshakable. Your mind is the battlefield. Your habits are the weapons. Your thoughts are the strategy. And most people, they go into that war unarmed. They wake up and hand their day to the algorithm. They scroll, they react, they get pulled into 1,000 directions before they even take their first breath. But the man who wakes with intention, the woman who grounds herself before the storm hits, they walk into life already victorious, because they have already mastered the first enemy, themselves. Master yourself, or be ruled forever, because the world doesn't need more people who chase. It needs more people who know, who are rooted, who are still, not still in laziness, but still in strength. The oak tree doesn't panic when the wind blows. It bends, it sways, but it never breaks, because its roots are deep. So I ask you, where are your roots? Are they buried in discipline, in self-awareness, in clarity of vision? Or are they floating, drifting, waiting for someone else to define them for you? Because if you don't define yourself, the world will. And the world is a poor architect of the soul. So stop outsourcing your identity. Stop letting other people tell you who you are. Go still, go inward. Listen not to the volume of the world, but to the whisper within, because in that silence, that's where the real power lives. That's where you will find the only person you truly need to beat. And once you beat them, once you master them, no one else can touch you. No one else can rule you, because you have already won, and no one can take that from you. You will be tempted to turn back, to retreat into comfort, to fold when things get heavy, to silence the inner call that's been burning inside you since the beginning. Don't. That voice, quiet as it may seem, is not weakness. It is your original power, the same energy that carved mountains, that built kingdoms, that pushed visionaries to defy what was realistic, but most will never hear it. Not because it isn't there, but because they've built too much noise around it. Lao Tzu taught that nature never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. And this isn't just poetry, it's the code. You don't need to force. You need to align. You don't need to grind your soul into the floor just to feel worthy. You need to move in rhythm with your values. Flow doesn't mean laziness, it means precision. It means purpose in motion. A warrior doesn't swing wildly. He waits, he watches. And when the moment arrives, he strikes once, clean and true. That's the energy you need to build. Not scattered, not chaotic, not burned out and exhausted trying to keep up with the world, but focused, directed, anchored, because power without control is destruction, but power with mastery, that's revolution. So many people talk about changing the world, yet they cannot sit in stillness for 5 minutes. They say they want freedom, but they're shackled by their own impulses. And the truth is this: you will never conquer what you refuse to confront. You will never reach peace if you keep running from yourself. Mastery requires confrontation. You must face your laziness. You must face your addictions. You must look directly into your excuses, into your story, into your inner child still waiting for someone to rescue them and say, "I see you, but I'm not ruled by you." You must choose sovereignty. That means ownership of your energy, of your time, of your identity. It means no more waiting for a sign, no more asking for permission, no more handing your power to people who don't even know who they are. If the world wants you distracted, you become focused. If the world wants you addicted, you become disciplined. If the world wants you reactive, you become still. Because the real flex today is not being loud. It's being unfazed. The real flex is not showing off. It's knowing so deeply who you are that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. You wake up and you execute. You learn. You grow. You fall. And you rise with grace. Because resilience isn't found in the peak moments of glory. It's found in the quiet choice to keep showing up when no one's watching. That's what self-mastery is built on. Not hype, not fire, but consistency. Boring, beautiful consistency. And here's the part that separates the true masters from the crowd. They love the process. They're not in it for the applause. They're in it for who they become when no one's clapping. Lao Tzu said, "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty." That's the path, not likes, not validation, not approval, but the quiet, daily conquest of the self, the conquest of ego, the conquest of laziness, the conquest of chaos, so that you can rise, not just as someone who succeeded in the eyes of others, but as someone who truly knows himself. And when you know yourself, you become impossible to manipulate, immune to trends, free from the approval trap that keeps most people running in circles. You don't chase the light, you become it. And when you walk into a room, people feel it, not because you're loud, but because your presence speaks louder than any words could. That's mastery. That's the still path. That's your calling. And the time to answer is now. Purpose. That's what anchors the master when the storms come. Not passion, not hype, not motivation. Purpose. Because purpose doesn't waver. It doesn't burn out. It doesn't rely on how you feel today. It's deeper than emotion. It's embedded into your very spirit. Lao Tzu didn't chase fame or wealth or approval. He simply aligned with the Tao, the way, the rhythm of existence. He lived with purpose, quietly, powerfully, fully. Ask yourself, what is your purpose? Not the one handed to you by society, not the one marketed to you in bite-sized content or shallow trends, but the one that burns quietly beneath your surface, the one that calls you forward when no one is watching, the one that refuses to die, no matter how many times you ignore it. If you haven't found it yet, sit with yourself until you do, because without it, discipline will feel like punishment. Without it, success will taste like ash. Without it, you will build a life that looks good but feels empty. Purpose transforms routine into ritual. It transforms pain into power. It turns sacrifice into sacredness. You'll know you've found it when you stop needing to explain yourself, when you stop seeking the nods of others, when your life becomes less about what you do and more about why you do it, and when you move with that kind of purpose. Distractions lose their grip, doubt begins to crumble, and fear bows in the presence of someone who walks with conviction. But here's the catch. Purpose isn't always loud. It's not always exciting. It often looks like quiet mornings, long nights, deep work, and unseen effort. And that's exactly why it's powerful. Because while the world is chasing attention, you are building substance. While others are racing, you are rooted. And that's when real progress happens. Not the kind that comes and goes, but the kind that transforms your identity from the inside out. That's the essence of Wu Wei, Lao Tzu's principle of effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing only what matters, with full presence and deep alignment. You become efficient without rushing. You become powerful without force. You move through life like the river, soft but relentless. And while others burn themselves out, proving their worth, you will rise, calm, focused, unshakable. That's the way of the master. That's the path few choose, but the only path that leads to true greatness. But don't mistake that stillness for inaction. The master moves, the master builds, the master creates, because the world isn't changed by those who react. It's changed by those who create from stillness. Those who see clearly, act decisively, and trust the flow of their own becoming. You must become that. A creator, a builder, a silent warrior. And if you fall, good. That's part of the path, too. Lao Tzu taught that new beginnings are often disguised as painful endings. Failure isn't the end. It's the furnace. It's where ego is burned off, where clarity is sharpened, where resilience is forged. And the one who rises after falling is always stronger than the one who never dared. So fall, fail, bleed, but never stop walking the path. Because mastery is not a destination. It is a way of living. It is a decision you make every moment to choose alignment over ego, to choose purpose over comfort, to choose the still path over the noisy world. And the more you walk it, the less you'll need from others, the more you'll find within. And one day, without needing to prove anything, you'll look around and realize you are free, and nothing, not the algorithm, not the opinions, not the noise, can ever rule you again, because you've already claimed the highest throne a human can sit on, mastery of the self. You will walk through fire. You will be tested. You will face days where everything in you wants to break, to fold, to give up and retreat back into comfort, into noise, into numbness. And in those moments, you will remember, you are not here to be ruled. You are not here to be dragged through life by impulse, by fear, by other people's opinions. You are here to become, to rise, to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Because buried beneath the doubt, beneath the fear, beneath the noise, is a force that has waited quietly for your attention, the master within, not the version of you that seeks approval, not the version of you that needs to prove, but the version that knows, that breathes, that leads, that is. That version doesn't shout, it doesn't chase, it doesn't crumble under pressure. It watches, it learns, it adapts, it moves, it flows like water, it roots like stone, and it never, ever bows to anything less than the truth. This is your reminder. Your power is not something you find out there. It is something you remember in here. And when you finally stop running, when you turn inward, when you face the silence you've been avoiding, you will see it clearly. You were never weak. You were never broken. You were simply disconnected from the path. Now you're back. And from this moment forward, you will walk with purpose. You will move with peace. You will rise with discipline. And you will reign with stillness. Because the one who has mastered himself can never be ruled again.